Hello everybody. I couldn't be more pleased to welcome you all to this virtual meeting today. The main reason why I joined N+ in the first place was the promise to lead the aluminium industry into the new low carbon economy. I've been particularly vocal over the past few years about transparency around carbon emissions and the need for the hard to abate industries, which includes aluminium, to really step up their game in terms of carbon reduction. The industry has an inherent contradiction because aluminium is a metal of the future, light yet durable and almost infinitely recyclable. It is also a key enabler on the path towards a more sustainable economy. It helps reduce the carbon footprint of a number of key sectors, including electric vehicles, sustainable packaging, building and construction, aerospace and others. The carbon footprint of aluminium production can be a major issue, as we saw, largely as a result of energy-intensive smelter emissions. Now, N+ beats most other aluminium producers on emissions, thanks to our huge supply of clean electricity from hydropower, rather than using coal-fired electricity. So our average allow smelter emissions are around 2.5 tonnes of CO2 equivalent per tonne of aluminium, versus the world average for the same scope of around 12.5 tonnes. And from a typical Chinese coal-fired smelter, that can be as much as 16 tonnes. But clearly, we all need to go much further. So in January this year, the N+ Group announced sector-beating targets for carbon reduction. Net zero by 2050, and to reduce emissions by at least 35% by 2030. At the time, we said this would require continued investment in major scientific advances and critical industrial process improvements, as well as implementation of net zero initiatives for the hardest last mile emissions. Well, we are proud to announce that we've made a substantial step forward in that journey. In a major breakthrough for the global aluminium industry, N+'s metals business Rusal has successfully produced aluminium with the industry's lowest carbon footprint, less than 0.01 tonnes of CO2 equivalent per tonne of metal. This is for scope 1 and 2, that is direct and indirect emissions. Inert anode technology basically works by eliminating carbon emissions from the smelting process by replacing carbon anodes with inert anodes, which emit oxygen. But this metal was produced at our own state-of-the-art industrial site with the company's new generation inert anode electrolyzers located at the Krasnoyarsk aluminium plant. The capacity of the new electrolyzer is about 1 tonne of aluminium per day. Now, this news is for us extremely welcome, but not altogether surprising, because the group can draw on its long record of not just research and development, but also execution excellence and experience in process optimization. And these skills are in the group DNA. Our metals business has already massively overachieved in meeting existing carbon reduction targets. The target of emitting less than 2.7 tonnes of CO2 equivalent per tonne of aluminium by 2025 was actually met in 2017. And that's why, although I don't underestimate the huge challenges that lie ahead in meeting our carbon reduction targets, we face them with growing confidence. World-class research and development output, whether it's industry-defining inert anode technology or next-generation perovskite solar cells, are not just the only thing going on. Technological development is fantastic, but not enough on its own. We've undertaken to publish our roadmap to net zero this September, in which we will examine every single part of our value chain. For example, we are continuing our work under the new energy programme at all our hydroelectric power plants. And this will increase HPP power generation from 2 terawatts from 2022 and will reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 2.3 million tonnes per year, and involves investment of over $275 million. Completion of the programme will increase the efficiency of the hydroelectric plants at Irkutsk, Bratsk and Krasnoyarsk, reduce the cost of possible repairs and improve the performance of the plants. In fact, obtained results have already justified our investment in the project. Inert Anode technology has also reduced smelting costs. But the whole industry needs to put its collective back into getting to zero carbon. Improving the recovery and recycling of aluminium scrap is another way that could also reduce the need for primary material by perhaps up to 15%. And that on its own would save roughly the same amount of emissions that are polluted by a country like Spain every year. Small-scale use of carbon capture could also play an important role in the future. And for the last mile and industrial activity that proves impossible to mitigate within the boundaries of current scientific know-how, then nature-based solutions also offer huge potential. The one thing that is absolutely clear and that is absolutely certain is that the future of our business is green. My colleague Jerome will talk in specifics about the market, but businesses, and most importantly our customers, are recognising the change and embracing the low carbon economy.
Now, the lowest carbon footprint aluminium is a reality. And it has a name. It's called Allow, produced with a revolutionary emission-free process technology, the low-carbon aluminium of Rusal, produced with renewable hydropower. With the delivery of Allow, we will also add a new service to our customers, a digital label that will link the material with a digital fact sheet with information about commercial and chemical features, and also sustainability life cycle assessment informations together with other characteristics.
Last year, I joined 154 CEOs in calling for a green recovery from the pandemic. Together, those signatories represented a combined market capitalization of almost $2.5 trillion and 5 million employees. Economies around the world opting for a green recovery. More than 110 countries have pledged to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050, and that represents almost 65% of global GDP. And among consumers, the winners of the green recovery are clearly electromobility, green building and construction, aluminium packaging solutions, and infrastructure for renewable energy. So we see demand for aluminium continuing to grow, doubling by 2050, and over the next 5 years growing by some 7% in the transportation sector, 3% in construction, 4% in packaging and 4% in electrical. Going forward, green aluminium with a low carbon footprint and greater recycled content will account for an increasing share of this growing demand worldwide. So once again, the N+ Group is showing ambitious sector leadership on the biggest environmental issue of our time. And these climate change targets and the rollout of a detailed, thought-through route map to meet them are yet more tangible evidence of our commitment to lead the global aluminium industry into that low carbon future. And in the year of COP26, it could not be more urgent.